Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 14. Text number 17. Page number 617. Sadvat sanjate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha mamada moho tamaso bhavato ajnanam evacha. Word for word. Sadvat, on the mode of goodness. Sanjayate, develops. Jnanam, knowledge. Rajasa, on the mode of passion. Lobha, greed. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Pramada, madness. Moho, and delusion. Tamasa, the mode of ignorance. Tabata, develop. Aganam, nonsense. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. From the mode of ignorance, develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. Purport. Since the present civilization is not very congenial to living entities, Krishna consciousness is recommended. Through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In the mode of ignorance, people are just like animals, cannot see things clearly. In the mode of ignorance, for example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. Because people have no education and actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of people in general must be there. When they are actually educated in the mode of goodness, they will become sober and full knowledge of things as they are. Then people will be happy and prosperous. Even if the majority of the people aren't happy and prosperous, a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. Otherwise, if the world is devoted to the mode of passion and ignorance, there could be no peace or prosperity. In the mode of passion, people become greedy, and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that even if one has enough money and adequate arrangement for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain the status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad, being distressed by their circumstances. They take shelter of intoxication, and thus they sink further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark. Om Arganantarandasya Sanajana Sakaya Sakshu Imitam Jena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Nanti Swapadantikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakti. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. So today we heard this morning how Srila Prabhupada incorporated ISKCON on this day in New York, 1966. At that time, he only had a few fledgling disciples. Then they expanded, they went to San Francisco and started a temple there. There were a few more fledgling disciples. Then Prabhupada had to go back to India, and before he left, he said that I want all of you to push on this movement. So when they heard that, they were surprised because they didn't know they were even in a movement. But Prabhupada had the amazing vision. Even when his horoscope was read when he was a child, it was predicted at the age of 70 he would open 108 temples. So Srila Prabhupada knew that it was required to get registered as a bona fide religion and to get tax exemption. Even though we did that, we still were never recognized as a bona fide religion immediately because we were different than the common mass of people. And they didn't know what to believe, what to think when they saw someone wearing dhoti tilak and kurta, dhoti tilak, neck beads, sika, chanting Hare Krishna on the street. People didn't know what to think we were, and they thought we were a sect or a cult. Because in Guyana, in one country, I'm a cult leader. He had 1,000 disciples, and one day he made a nectar drink and put poison in it, and he drank it, and all the disciples drank it, and they all died. Well, this was a cult or a sect. So the people got the impression that anything that was different from the mainstream society must be a cult or a sect, something invented by somebody, some crazy person. But we had to counteract that propaganda. So eventually now we are accepted as a bona fide religious organization. But even in India, they thought we were with the CIA. They still didn't want to accept us as a bona fide religion. And they didn't want to, still even today, they don't accept us as being an educational institution. But we're trying to educate people by giving them Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya, teaching the Vedic teachings in the proper direction. Otherwise, society, people are being educated in the wrong direction. So here it says their future is not very bright. Their future in life is very dark. So today, text number 17, starts with from verses 10 to 18, deal with action and death in the modes. So here we have the intermediate causes of the results of the modes. When the mode of goodness results in causing impurity and causes real knowledge. Tadvidi paritvenat janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tapataha chakva deham punarjama natimam eti so Arjuna. So Krishna says, whoever knows me in truth does not take birth again. This is real knowledge. Knowledge means to know the difference between matter and spirit and the control of both. So from the mode of goodness, one can begin to understand this, that we're not this body, Aham Brahmasmi, that we're a spirit soul, that we're eternal servants of Krishna, that we don't belong in this material world. Dukaya Lama Shastvatam. This material world is a place of suffering and misery. Repeated birth and death take place. From the mode of goodness, one can practice Krishna consciousness, follow the four regulated principles, no meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. And this way, we can purify ourselves so that you are not influenced by the mode of passion and ignorance as much as the majority of people. There's always a competition between the three modes, passion, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So sometimes we're in the mode of passion, sometimes we're in the mode of ignorance. So we sleep too much, or we desire material enjoyment and desire things we don't really need. These are the lower modes. When one comes to the mode of goodness, Brahma Bhuta Prasanama, Nasoshati na Kanchati, Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Lavate. He's always joyful, one never laments nor hankers to have everything. And so this is real. The mode of goodness brings us to the higher platform, the Brahma Bhuta platform. And this is when devotional service really begins. When we're still struggling in the lower modes, we're only practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, but we haven't come to our higher platform where we can start to develop our Krishna consciousness and understand that we have eternal relationship with Krishna. But that will take some time. It is a gradual process. And gradually, if one chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, then these things will be revealed. one has faith in the Guru and Krishna, and all the import of the Vedas are revealed. So the mode of goodness is desirable. Here Prabhupada says that this present civilization is not very congenial to the living entity. Congenial means suitable or comfortable. So we see the present civilization, people are struggling very hard to be happy, be satisfied, but the whole structure of the civilization is based on what we call the Iron Age. Prayena Pisa Sabya Klavas Minuge Janaha Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Upar Tritaha. O learned one, in this Iron Age of Kali, men have but short lives, they're quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So, we see this, that there's always some quarrels between husband and wife, between nation and nation. There's always some wars going on in the world, friends and enemies. Between so many quarrelsome is always there. People are always arguing, fighting, because of the motive, because of the ways society is set up. And people are lazy because they don't want to take the Krishna consciousness. They're lazy to hear. They don't want to hear about spiritual life. Most people don't think there's anything wrong with the society. And people are misguided from the day they're born to the day they die. They're misguided. They go to school at the age of 4 or 5, and immediately they're misguided by the teacher, by the textbooks. Everything they learn is not guiding them properly, and they don't know what's what and who's who. They're simply confused about the whole situation. They accept the scientists and philosophers as giving them the truth, but they're not. The scientists are not able to understand what is what and who is who, so they can't really give anybody a proper knowledge. They say many things that don't make sense. They say life comes from matter. So we don't have any experience of that. We ask them to prove it. If life comes from matter, and you take your chemicals and you make your life, and they say, well, we will do it in the future. We're working on it. But you take chemicals, if a person dies, it's not because the chemicals are not there anymore. If a person dies or leaves his body, the body stops working. Let them inject some chemicals and bring it back to life. But they can't do that. So they really don't know anything about the soul. The spirit soul is a life force in the body. And Prabhupada went to America. He preached in many universities and said, where is the department to teach people about the science of the soul? They didn't have, there's no such department as of today. So this means people go to school, get an education, so they can get some job to facilitate their sense gratification, but doesn't help them to get free from the bondage of material life, material existence. We're bound up in the material world, and as a spirit soul, we don't belong here. It's just like if you take a fish out of water, it can't be happy. You can give it a nice seat, you can give it a nice food, you can give it so many comforts, but it can't be happy because it's not a natural environment. So the living entity, the material world, we can't be happy here because it's not our natural environment. Jivarasrupoi Krishna Nichadas, that we're eternal servants of Krishna, and that's our real identity. And if that's not revived, then the person can never be happy in this life. They don't teach that in other religions. No one knows about the spiritual world. From Brahma Samhita, we know that there is the material world is called Devi Dham. Then there's the abode of Lord Shiva, Mahesh Dham. Then there's Hari Dham, Vaikuntha planets, and then there's Golok Vrindavan. So these different realms are there. They exist. It's not mythology. It's not something someone manufactured. It's the way the structure of the world is. That the material world is over 1/4 of the creation, and the spiritual world is 3/4 of the creation. And the majority of living entities are in the spiritual world. But somehow or other, as we have minute independence, we misuse our independence. We had the choice to serve Krishna or to come in the material world and not serve Krishna, to try to become Krishna. So we can't blame Krishna for our being in the material world. We can't blame Krishna for our suffering. But because Srila Prabhupada went to America, he translated so many books and gave so much information. And if people read Prabhupada's books, then we can put them on the right path. If you want to go to Delhi, you have to tell the driver which road, make sure he takes the right path. If he takes the wrong turn, then you'll never get there. So people are on the wrong path, so their future is very dark, and they have to die, take birth again, go to the Yamaraj, get judged, go through the 8,400,000 species of life again, over and over again. It's like a Ferris wheel, goes up and down. Sometimes you're on the top, sometimes you're on the bottom. They're all over the place. So living entities wandering throughout the material world. But Guru Krishna Prasadi by Bhakti Lata Beach, if the living entity becomes fortunate, he meets a bona fide spiritual master who can guide him and help him to get free from the cycle of birth and death. So it says people are unlucky because they're in an age where everybody is trying to cheat them. The governments are taking, instead of trying to protect the people, it's the duty of the government to protect the citizens, to look after the welfare of the citizens. When Lord Ramachandra ruled the world, it was Treta Yuga, but he was such a good king, it was like Satya-yuga. And there was no scarcity of anything, and if people didn't want to die, they didn't have to even die by his arrangement. And Lord Ramachandra was a ideal king, and as an ideal king, he one time went in disguise and wanted to find out what the citizens were thinking about him. So he heard one washerman who was saying to his wife, "You have gone out of the house to meet another man. Now I cannot accept you again. I'm not a henpecked husband like Lord Ram." Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, but Ram accepted her back again. But this man didn't know that it was not the real Sita who was kidnapped by Lord Ram. It was illusory Sita. But still, Lord Ramachandra didn't want his name to be defamed, his reputation to be spoiled. So even though it wasn't a true story, he had to vanish. Sita, or told Sita, she had to go to the forest. And when Prithu Maharaj was the king, there was a scarcity of food, so he had to chastise Mother Earth to make the proper arrangements so people could get food properly and live peacefully. But nowadays the governments are not interested in the welfare of people. They're interested in only their own welfare, and they collect taxes regardless of the position of the people. And if people don't pay their taxes, then they arrest them and put them in jail. So, although people try to avoid paying taxes, they many times they get caught and they have to go to jail. So, this is the situation today. And it says above all, people are always disturbed. So, in this world, they can't be happy and peaceful. Srimad Bhagavatam says that men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna to deliver from evils. So this is a situation. The dogs are always loitering in the street, looking for food. The camel is chewing thorns, and his tongue is bleeding. And he's getting a taste. He's thinking he's getting a good taste. And the asses carry the load for the washerman every day, carry a heavy load for the washerman, and at the end he gave some grass to eat. And then when he goes to have sex life, the she-ass, she kicks him in the face. And hogs are there, we see them in the streets in Vrindavan. They eat all kinds of abominable things. If you give a hog halva, or give a choice between halva and stool, the hog prefers to eat stool. So this is how degraded people have become in this age. When people come to the temple, they are not as tourists. As tourists, they're afraid to take our prasadam because they think we might put some drugs in it or something. So this is the unfortunate nature. As soon as one receives Mahaprasadam, one should honor it. But they don't know that. and if they do take it, they get purified. So this is the condition of our society. From the mode of ignorance, from the mode of passion, greed develops, and a craving for sense gratification which can never be fulfilled. One man was making $500,000 every year, which is quite enough money to live comfortably, but he wasn't satisfied with that. So he started a scheme to steal people's money, and he ended up stealing $400 million. But then he got caught, and now he had to go to jail for 20 years. All because of greed. Lust, greed, anger, 3 gates to hell. So no matter how much money someone has, they're never satisfied. They always want more and more. People want to satisfy their senses, so they're always trying to get newer and newer things. People aren't satisfied. They have 1 car, they have to have 2 cars, 3 cars. They're not satisfied with 1 house, they have to have 2 houses, 3 houses. They have to have this, that, so many things. It's endlessly trying to fulfill their desires, but they can't fulfill their desires. It's like putting fuel, like trying to put out a fire by putting ghee on the fire. You can't put out a fire by putting more fuel in the fire. You have to put water on the fire. But they're trying to satisfy their senses by putting ghee on the fire. So no matter how much they try to enjoy, they can't satisfy their senses. I saw one man, had a very nice wife. He was living here in India. So one day, this was before I was a devotee, he took me to some place. I didn't know where he was taking me. And it ended up to be a house, a prostitution house. So I was bewildered or wondering why this man, who had a very nice, young, beautiful wife, why he had to go to a house of prostitution. Because even though he had a nice wife, he wasn't satisfied. So he had to go somewhere else. So this is the way it is. Whatever people have, they're not satisfied. They can never be satisfied. People greed, and they can't sleep at night. They have so much problem. One devotee's friend became a millionaire. So he has everything he wants. But he told the devotee that your lifestyle as a devotee is better than my lifestyle. Now I have $1 million, I have everything I want, but I'm in so much anxiety all the time. So devotees live simple, only accept the bare necessities, so there's not much anxiety. But people get things and get more and more things, and it only increases their anxiety. And then from the mode of ignorance, madness, illusion covers the living entity, and foolishness. So this consciousness is completely covered. People in the mode of ignorance take to intoxication. So if you take intoxication, alcohol or drugs, you get some temporary happiness. But there's always some side effect. If you drink alcohol, you get some good feeling for a while, but when it wears off, you get a headache, you feel sick. It's there's no benefit, and it destroys your brain. In the same way with other types of intoxication that only give a limited amount of happiness. They asked Srila Prabhupada if LSD was a spiritual, could make one spiritual. Prabhupada said, no, you can't become spiritual by taking something material. So intoxication doesn't solve anyone's problems. So temporarily they forget their problems, but ultimately it has a bad side effect. So also people don't understand that there's a karmic reaction for their activities. It says in the Bible, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So if you kill some living entity, then that living entity is going to come back and kill you in the future. And Narada Muni was in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya told Sanatana Goswami, and Narada Muni was walking on the path. He left the common path, was walking in the forest. He started to see different animals that were half killed. So he was wondering what's going on here. And then he met the hunter. His name was Nagrari. And the hunter said to Narada Muni that you've come here, you're a saintly person, can I give you something? And Narada Muni said, no, I didn't come to ask for anything. Well, one thing I want to ask you is why are you half killing the animals? Why don't you kill them fully? That would be much better than causing him so much suffering. But the hunter said that I'm half killing the animals because my father taught me this, and I get great pleasure from doing this. So then Narada Muni showed him that these different animals are going to come back and do the same thing to him in his next life. So people don't believe in the next life. They think at time of death that everything's finished. But from Bhagavad-Gita we know, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul is transmigrating. The soul is always active. The soul always has a body. There's never a time when I did not exist, nor you are all these kings, Krishna told Arjuna. So the soul is always existing. The soul always has a form. So we're responsible. Human life is a responsible life to see that our next life is at a higher status, higher consciousness. So we don't become degraded and have to enter into the lower species again. So the karmic reaction is there, but they don't know this. So they have opened so many slaughterhouses, killing so many innocent animals, especially cows, daily. And they're doing abortions, killing the child in the womb. When they told Prabhupada they were selling his books, and sometimes people would throw them in the garbage because they couldn't read it. They saw the Sanskrit and they didn't know what it was. They didn't want to carry it, so they threw it in the garbage. And so the devotees the janitor, the cleaner would bring him back. The devotees would get the book back and sell it again. So they told Prabhupada they're throwing your books in the garbage. But Prabhupada said that's not such a bad thing because they're also throwing their babies in the garbage. And this is a common thing in the Western world that they find dead babies in the garbage. So people they want to have sex life, and they try to avoid having children by taking contraceptives, but sometimes it doesn't work. And when the lady gets pregnant and finds out she's going to have a child, she has an abortion. So they're killing the baby in the womb, and for every abortion performed, the person who performs the abortion has to take birth in the womb and never see the light of the day. And it's a very sinful activity, killing a living entity in the womb. They're not giving the spirit soul a chance to come out of the womb. But they think it's just a lump of matter. It's not really alive. It's not a living entity yet. But this is a misconception that the living entity is growing, and when it comes out alive, it means that it's always alive from the time of conception. So killing animals, abortions, slaughterhouses, all these things are creating so much karmic reaction in the world, and because of that there has to be war, conflict. There can never be any peace or prosperity. So here it says the people have to become sober or come to the mode of goodness, so they will be able to take to Krishna consciousness. Anyway, this verse says, from the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. Mode of ignorance develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. So anybody have any comments, questions? Yes.
You mentioned that Ramchandra went outside and he heard a washerman saying to his wife that I am not Ramchandra, that I will keep you. She went out of the house. So, and you said that washerman did not knew that Sita was illusion Sita, not the original Sita. Washerman is an ordinary person, he did not knew. How about Lord Ramchandra, whether he knew or not that Sita was illusion Sita or original Sita? Ramchandra, he was not knowing whether she is illusion Sita or original Sita. When an ordinary person, you say he did not knew about Sita, whether she was illusion Sita or original Sita. And Lord Ramchandra is Lord himself. So he could have also known that whether she is illusion Sita or original Sita. Can you comment something on that?
Anyway, he would do that just so his reputation would not be ruined. He wanted to make sure that his reputation stayed intact. So that's why he did that. But, it's all transcendental pastimes of the Lord. We can read about it in the 9th canto. You can read the Ramayana to get better explanation.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad-Gita ki jai.